and welcome to item F33. I would like to now welcome our spokesperson for Science, Innovation and Technology and the first ever MP for the new constituency of Harpenden and Berkhamsted, whose birthday it happens to be today. So please give a big birthday round of applause to Victoria Collins.
Thank you so much, conference. This is absolutely the birthday wish that I called for. Conference. A year ago, we gathered in Brighton to celebrate the result of a century. It was just weeks after I and 71 colleagues had been given the privilege and the responsibility of serving our communities in the House of Commons. Just weeks since I've been swept into Parliament by amazing campaigning work by members like each of you, and an amazing team in Harpenden and Berkhamsted. Soon after that happy weekend in Brighton, I was honoured to be asked to serve as the party's Science, Innovation and Technology spokesperson. Now, a new MP's inbox is full. A new spokesperson's diary soon is too. In the weeks and months that followed, I needed to set up my office to begin to learn as a constituency MP and start the work needed to perform as a spokesperson. It was a daunting task. I need to think about how I can make this job count, about how I can make sure that our party led the way on science and technology, to consider where we could make a difference. I need to pick up the phone and begin a lot of conversations, many about supporting innovation, research, getting AI policy right, but over those weeks it quickly became clear that there was one issue on everyone's lips. Whether I was talking to parents in my constituency, the tech experts at roundtable meetings, or to my fellow MPs in the tea room, one issue was a constant point of discussion. That issue was the question of children's safety online and the role of social media in young people's lives. It was the number one issue that I heard from people in my constituency, and I know it's filling up the inboxes of my 71 Liberal Democrat colleagues. Parents see what the online world has become, we all do, and they're concerned that their children are faced with the same barrage of harmful content, violence, pornography, suicidal incitement, and the list goes on. Indeed, young people in Harpenden and Berkhamsted have told me that's exactly what they're seeing and what they're being shown, even when they try and block it. The effects of this content on young minds is well documented. And I agree with the Children's Commissioner that we need to see action if we're to avert a widespread mental health crisis in young people. Taking action doesn't mean we cut our young people off. The online world is not optional for young people. The world is central, that world is central to all of our lives. It's where we work, where we shop, where we socialise, where we go for entertainment. Young people have grown up online and they need to be able to engage with it in a safe and healthy way. But that means listening to the mounting evidence of the harms that exposure to unsafe online environment is posing to our children, and it means acting on that evidence. One of the most eloquent voices on this issue has been Ian Russell. He lost his daughter Molly a number of years ago when she was fed hours and hours of suicide encouragement content by social media algorithms. Ian has not just been brave in standing up for Molly's memory, he has been steadfast, determined and deeply considered. He's made it very clear that social media giants are simply not doing enough to tackle this harmful content in their algorithms that are pushing to our children. Now 2 years on, Parliament passed the Online Safety Act. The Act was the government's first and real effort to tackle that harmful content online and to create a safer online environment for children and young people. With any novel legislation, there will be challenges in implementation. We've seen that in recent months, as Ofcom have rolled out their codes and rules off the back of that Act that many people have raised concerns, including members of our own party. There remains questions to be answered about the best way to implement this legislation so that it does what it says on the tin and keeps children safe online in a way that is proportional, effective, and in line with our own liberal values. That's why I and Tim Clement-Jones, our Lord's Technology spokesperson, wrote to the Secretary of State last month, calling on him to put in place a cross-party committee from both houses of Parliament to properly scrutinise the rollout of this legislation by his department and Ofcom. Parliament must play its role in scrutinising how these roles are applied. This simply is too important. We cannot get it wrong. But while the Online Safety Act aimed to address harmful content and force the tech giants to take more responsibility for what they show to children, it didn't address the underlying problem. It's not just the harmful content that is worrying parents, teachers, and young people. And it's not just the harmful content that is driving this mental health crisis we're seeing in our kids. It's the way that these platforms are built specifically to keep young minds hooked. Push notifications, infinite scrolls, likes and streaks, all of these features are designed to deliberately create a product that is extraordinarily suited to capturing attention and keeping them coming back for more. Most of us in this room will know the feeling of spending far more time than we'd like on addictive social media apps. I'm not going to look around to see who's on their phone. For our children, the effect is all the more pronounced. That is the addictive nature of these social media apps. For too long, the social media giants have profited off our children's data, using algorithms to create experiences that are more and more addictive to young people. Every click, every scroll, every post from a young person is turned back against them to keep them hooked. I know when I worked in tech, I read the books, I did the training, all about how apps are designed to capture and keep our attention. We know the impact this has. Research in recent months has shown that teenagers are showing signs of being addicted to social media and are at a greater risk of emotional problems and, sadly, even suicide. The spiralling levels of mental ill health we've seen in young people over the last decade isn't just down to social media, of course, but there is no doubt that this is exacerbating the crisis. Earlier this year, I took a tour around my constituency. Over several months, I visited schools in Harpenden, Berkhamsted, training in our villages to talk to teachers, parents, and most importantly, young people themselves about the impact of social media on their lives. What I saw and heard was clear. We need to do so much more to protect our young people. And that didn't just come from teachers and other adults. It came from the young people themselves. One sixth former said social media is as addictive as a drug, and I feel the negative impacts of my addiction to it every day. Another simply wrote, "Help, I cannot stop." Our children know the impact that addictive social media platforms are having on them, and they want to be given a chance to break free from them. So much so that pupils from Ashton's and Berkhamsted schools followed up with their own initiative to tackle this issue head-on. Their voices are why earlier this year I tabled an amendment to the data bill to raise the digital age of data consent to 16, in line with many of our European neighbours. That step would have meant that social media giants would no longer profit off the data of children under 16, nor use their data to feed addictive algorithmic content. The Labour government voted that amendment down. Thank you, thank you. That Labour government let us down, they voted that down. And this is a government that makes noise about online safety, but consistently fails to deliver. Peter Kyle, until recently our Science and Technology Secretary, has mooted time caps, curfews on addictive social media apps, but moves on to another department, leaving behind a record of failure. The government must finally deliver and introduce a doom scroll ban that caps the amount of time that children can spend on these addictive apps. This is a public health issue. The impact of addictive social media apps on a generation of children and the effects on their mental health is a crisis, and it must be responded to as such. A public health issue demands a public health response, but that has been sorely lacking thus far. A public health approach means putting children's well-being at the centre of all decisions in this area, not the profits of US tech giants, not Elon Musk's latest ramblings, and certainly not the bullying and threats of Donald Trump. It means taking this issue seriously and bringing forward meaningful, evidence-based solutions that can help reclaim our children's lives from an online world that has been designed to attract their attention for profit. And it means taking real steps to educate children and their parents about the risks of untravelled social media and access and steps that they can take to manage that. Only when we give parents and children the tools they need to tackle this issue can we hope to begin to move towards a solution. If we are going to take on this multi-billion-pound industry, we need to be brave. We have long recognised that online content poses a threat to public health. We need to know. That's why, today, I'm calling for addictive social media apps to come with mandatory health warnings for under 16s, 18s, under 18s, just like cigarettes or alcohol. These addictive products, well-documented risks, especially for young people. The evidence is clear that excessive use of these apps exposes children to mental health issues, to anxiety, sleep disruption, and to real harm to attention spans. Don't they deserve to know? Clear labelling, spelling out those health risks wouldn't stop young people engaging in social media. It wouldn't stop them engaging with their community or connecting with friends online. But it would ensure they go into the experience with their eyes open to the risks. When we pick up a pack of cigarettes or a bottle of wine, we expect to be told about the harms those products can pose to our health. So why is social media, the key driver of a crisis in young people's mental health, any different? Of course, health warning labels would be no silver bullet. Tackling this crisis will require a wide public health response. But when we're talking about our children's health, we must take the steps that we can. Global voices like the former US Surgeon General have already called for this step. Several US states are examining legislation to introduce warning labels and conference. That is why we should be brave, be forward-looking, and say that the UK should lead on this. We should become the first country to require that tech giants profiting off our children's attention at least come clean about the risks about their addictive products to young people. Conference, thank you. Conference. I am proud of the work that we have done so far. Our party has been the loudest voice in Parliament saying enough is enough, making clear that we can no longer afford to put Silicon Valley profits ahead of our children's health. I know we will continue to lead on keeping our children safe online, on building a better online world and protecting children from the addictive products being pushed their way by tech billionaires who couldn't give a jot. Conference. We liberals know that real liberty, real freedom, means freedom from harm. If we want to deliver that freedom for our children, we're at a crucial moment, a moment that demands action. I know that our party will not be found lacking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria. We're now going to move to the lunchtime fringes, which I hope you will enjoy, but don't forget to come back at 2:10, and we will be discussing protecting home commerce. Thank you very much.